I was out on my porch, coffee steaming in the dawn chill, watching the sun climb over my 1,200 acres of wheat fields in Willow Creek, Kentucky, when my phone rang with news that'd make your blood boil. An HOA had sold my family's land, forged my name, and thought they'd get away with it. By the time I was done, I'd uncovered a bombshell. Their fancy neighborhood sat on 250 acres of my soil, and I legally sold the ground beneath their homes, watching their smug empire crumble into dust. My name's Ben Harlan, and this is how I turned a land grab into a reckoning, taking back my legacy and giving a greedy HOA the lesson of a lifetime. Willow Creek's the kind of place where the fields whisper your granddaddy's name, where my family's worked the same dirt for generations, me, my dad, his dad before him.
I'm 58.
A farmer born and bred, and those acres aren't just land. They're my blood, my history, the future I plan to pass on. The Oak Ridge Pines HOA, a gated sprawl of cookie-cutter mansions, had been creeping closer over the years, their golf carts and clipped hedges inching toward my fences. I ignored their nonsense, fines for tractor dust, gripes about my cows mooing too loud because I had work to do, crops to tend. But that call from my lawyer, Tom Carver, changed everything. Ben, he said, voice tight, the HOA claims they sold your land. Get to the county office now. I laughed, thinking it was a joke. Ain't nobody selling my land, I told him, staring at the fields my dad taught me to plow. My deed's ironclad. But Tom wasn't laughing. You need to see this. An hour later, I stood in a stuffy county office, staring at a stack of papers that made my stomach churn. Tom flipped to a sale agreement. 1,200 acres, my acres, transferred to Oak Ridge Pines HOA 6 months ago. My signature scrawled at the bottom. That's not mine, I said, voice low, hands balling into fists. I never signed this. The ink looked close but off, like someone tried too hard. Tom tapped another page, a stamp from Leonard Hayes, HOA president, and a notary seal from his wife. They've already flipped it to a developer, he said. Construction starts next month. Condos, strip malls, the works. My land, where I'd baled hay with Dad, where Granddad ran cattle, bulldozed for some yuppie paradise. I saw red. Who's behind this? I growled. Tom pointed to Hayes' name. He's the ringleader. Smug, connected, thinks he's untouchable. I nodded, slow, a plan forming. They forged my name, Tom. They're gonna pay. Back home, I hauled out the fire-safe Dad left me. Spilling deeds, tax records, maps, proof our family owned this land since the 1800s. Everything checked out, clean as a whistle. But as I sifted through, a faded note caught my eye, tucked in an old inheritance file from when Dad took over from Granddad. It mentioned a second parcel, 250 acres, never farmed, stretching past our fields. I grabbed county maps, hands shaking, and traced the lines. My jaw dropped. The extra land ran right under Oak Ridge Pines, covering half their neighborhood, including Hayes Mansion. They'd built on my dirt, never transferred the deeds, assuming no one noticed. I sat back, grinning like a fox in a henhouse. They stole my land, but I owned theirs, and they had no clue what was coming. I called Tom, voice steady. We're not just stopping the sale. We're taking their homes. He paused. Ben, you sure? This'll wreck him. I looked out at my fields, the wheat swaying gold. They wrecked me first. The plan was simple. Let 'em think they'd won, let 'em strut and spend, then hit 'em with a legal sledgehammer. I played the part, angry farmer yelling at HOA meetings, waving my fake deed like a man out of options. Hayes smirked from the podium, his board whispering, probably betting I'd burn out in court. I let 'em believe it, all while Tom filed a quiet claim on the 250 acres, triggering a county review that'd flag every deed in their precious neighborhood. I dug deeper, hitting the records office for HOA meeting notes. Buried in a 4-year-old transcript was gold. A mention of a zoning irregularity they'd ignored, proof they knew the land wasn't theirs but built anyway. I talked to neighbors, folks like Jenny Walsh, who'd been fined for her mailbox's wrong blue. "They're bullies," she said, handing over years of HOA letters. "Do what you gotta do, Ben." The HOA kept the pressure on, sending fines for my unkempt fences, spreading flyers calling me a disruptive landowner, out to ruin their community. One night, they tore down my border fence, planting a sign, "Future Oak Ridge Pines Development." I snapped a photo, sent it to Tom. "They're cocky," I said. "Let's bury 'em." We documented everything. Vandalism, lies, smug letters claiming my land was theirs. I hired a private eye, Ed, to record Hayes and his board at their country club, laughing about that dumb farmer. Every word, every act was fuel for the fire I was building. Then came their final notice, all pomp and legalese, saying my claims were invalid. Construction set for October 1st. I laughed so hard I nearly spilled my coffee. That night, I filed the full claim, 1,200 acres plus the 250 under Oak Ridge Pines. By noon, every homeowner got a letter. Their deeds were disputed, their mortgages frozen, their insurance in limbo. Panic hit like a storm. Folks swarmed the HOA office, yelling at Hayes, who hid behind legal counsel. Real estate deals collapsed. Banks flagged the neighborhood as toxic. The news caught it, local HOA built on stolen land, and suddenly Hayes wasn't king anymore. At their emergency meeting, I walked in, folder thick with proof, and watched the crowd turn. "You lied," a guy shouted, waving his mortgage papers. Hayes, sweating buckets, stammered, "We're resolving this." I stepped to the mic, voice calm. "You stole my land, built your homes on mine, and thought I'd roll over. I held up the inheritance deed. Says I own half this neighborhood. Your deeds? Worthless. Your homes? Mine." The room erupted, folks screaming, crying, turning on Hayes like wolves. He went pale, mouth flapping, no words left. The lawsuits came fast. Residents suing the HOA for fraud. The developer suing for $2 million. Banks pulling loans. I sat back, letting the chaos unfold. In court, the judge didn't blink. The HOA engaged in fraud, forging documents, misrepresenting ownership, she said, voice like steel. The sale of Mr. Harlan's 1,200 acres is void. The 250 acres under Oak Ridge Pines remain his. Gasps filled the room. Structures on that land are subject to his discretion. Hayes slumped, defeated. The HOA's lawyer tried. "This'll ruin families." The judge shut him down. "They buried evidence, harassed Mr. Harlan. They built this mess." I didn't stop there. That night, I sent eviction notices to every home on my 250 acres. Buy the land at market price or get out. Hayes called, begging. "Ben, there's gotta be a fix," he whined, voice small. "You could have not stolen my land," I said cold. "Your HOA's bankrupt. You've got nothing." He stammered. "The press'll crucify you." I leaned in. "I don't care. I care about what's mine." I sold the land, Hayes Mansion, his cronies' homes, to developers for pennies on the dollar. Storage units, strip malls, and my fields took over. Residents scrambled, some buying back at triple the cost, most losing everything to foreclosure. Hayes packed his SUV and slunk away, his empire rubble. Cara Dillon, who'd fined folks for ugly shutters, cried as her house was bulldozed. Jim Tate, the treasurer, vanished, dodging lawsuits. I didn't hate those folks, the ones who'd bought homes not knowing the truth. I offered them fair deals, buy the land cheap, stay put. Most couldn't afford it, not after the HOA's lies tanked their mortgages. Jenny Walsh did, scraping together enough to keep her place. You did right, Ben, she said, eyes fierce. They had it coming. The press called me heartless, a land baron wrecking lives, but the farmers, the folks who knew my family, they got it. They'd seen the HOA's fines, their sneers. They knew who the real thieves were. By year's end, Oak Ridge Pines was gone. Bulldozed, replaced with grazing land, wheat fields, and a farmer's market where locals traded eggs and apples under open sky. I used the sale money to fund it, to keep our valley's roots alive. No more beige mansions, no more HOA signs, just dirt and truth. I stood on my porch one evening, whiskey in hand, watching the market hum. Kids chasing each other, farmers laughing, the land breathing free. Hayes had tried to erase me, to pave over my family's story, but I'd buried him instead. The fields stretched wide, same as they had for my dad, my granddad, and they'd be here for whoever came next. I'd won not just the land, but the peace of knowing I'd kept my promise to hold it. Was I too hard, selling their homes, or did they earn every bit of it? Should I have settled, taken a payout? Ever face a bully who thought they owned you? Drop your story in the comments. I'm reading. Like, share, and let's keep our roots deep, one fight at a time.